Delroy McQueen. My lifting background is I was Commonwealth Games champion in weightlifting in 2002. I've competed in powerlifting, raw and equipped, and been quite successful over the years. We're going to talk today about the range of strength shop wrist wraps. So we have the IPF approved wrist wraps and the ones that are not approved. I've used the strength shop equipment now since 2012 and you've not used anything else since. The quality of the equipment is very, very good, and in terms of pricing, as good as any on the market. So on this side here, we've got IPF range approved wrist wraps. There's a number of different types of wrist wraps. So you've got the 60 centimetre wrist wraps and you've got a 30 centimetre set of wrist wraps. They have a number of lengths for various reasons. I always prefer, if I use wrist wraps on the squat, to use shorter wrist wraps. They're a lot less restrictive and give you a wrist more sort of a passive support. When it comes to bench pressing, I prefer almost like that cast feeling on the wrist. So basically the wrist can't throttle back and you lose the bar path, so I tend to go for a longer wrist wrap based on that. Also, when you look at female lifters with smaller wrists, they don't necessarily need a 60 centimetre wrap, simply because they don't need the level of coverage a bigger lifter would need. So let's look at here, we've got the 4 wrist wrap by Strength Drop. This is a 60 centimetre wrap. So as you can see here, the quality of stitching is very, very good. And these wraps last for years. The only reason sometimes I replace my wraps is just I fancy a different set of colour to match whatever singlet I'm going to wear. But basically I've had pairs of these wrist wraps for a good 2 or 3 years and never really had any need to change them. You've got a thumb loop here which just makes it a lot easier to put the wrist wrap on. When I put the wrist wrap on, I generally don't put the thumb through the thumb loop because it can be quite awkward to take the thumb loop off. So what I generally do is place the thumb loop in the centre of the hand and then pull the wrist wrap round tight so it just covers the wrist and goes into the top of the hand. You don't want to cover the hand too low because in some federations the wrist wrap can't touch the bar and they don't like to see the wrap past the mid-hand area. So I'll cover the wrist with the first loop. As you can see there, the wrap's locked in. So what I do is put the second revolution over the top of the wrist and then bring the last revolution just over the centre of the knuckles and just pull the Velcro in nice and tight. So there are other ways to wrap on, but this is quite a simple basic wrap that you can actually use and very supportive. As you can see there, I have got very, very little movement in the hand backwards, so it's quite rigid. The trouble is when you put them on this tight, you might not be able to keep them on for very long. So if you're doing repetition work, you might have to adjust the tension of the wrist wrap. And when it comes to wrist wraps, the quality of Velcro on these are really, really good. If you get cheaper wrist wraps, sometimes the Velcro goes, you don't normally have to replace it because the wrist wrap gives away. It's normally the Velcro, just wears away over the years. But generally the Strength Shop, I've never had that sort of problem.